have it more in you. You get a wee rest.
Oh, thanks, Dolly. Oh, I could do with a wee rest. I've seen the days, Wally, when I could have rattled through twice this and thought nothing about it. Oh, but I'm getting too old now.
Oh, you're a very good worker.
Oh, I always liked to be working. I always enjoyed it.
Do you know the mechanical sheets?
The McCandless used to be to Vicken Street.
Aye, up the top end next to the butcher.
Oh, well, I don't know them to speak to. But she used to sell clays to the coolies coming after the boats. They used to walk in single file all the way to Paddy's Market. And then when they bought their stuff, they'd wrap it in old blankets and walk all the way to Paddy's Market to the docks with the bundles on their heads. Oh, and they told awfully fast. Yeah, that was a common sight, that, so it was. Ah, she was a hard-working woman, old Granny McCandles. They say she left her family quite a lot of money.
Is that right?
Aye, well, that was the rumour that was going about. But she had kept to herself. And you know, her man died young, and she to bring up that family all by herself. That's a boat house, by the way. Aye, she bought that house, I know that. Aye, she gave her family a good start. Mind, I think when she died, they stopped selling things to the coolies.
Aye, from what Margaret was telling me earlier, that Maureen one started again.
Oh, well, I wish them all the luck, Dolly. Old Granny McCandlish would be proud of them.
Aye, well I don't think, aye, maybe she would die.
Oh, there's nothing nicer to see a family all set up and doing well for themselves. It's just a pity she's no here to see them.
Aye, it's a pity.
But you never know, Dolly. Even though she's dead, she could still be watching over them.
Aye, well she'll be selling it an eyeful if she is.
No, I don't know them now, because I never go to that butcher's. No, I go to Galway's. They've got lovely butcher meat. The mince is marvellous. Marvellous.
Remember John, does he ever say, ah, you know? What does he say? Yeah, of course. He likes all sweet men. Well, wait till you hear this. Tell me, Mrs. Coppers.
Yeah, I was telling Dolly how I get my mince out of Galway's. Oh, it's lovely mince. Have you any part on mince story tenants?
Why, it's good mince.
Do you not like the mince, Margaret?
Alright.
Well, I was telling Dolly how I get my mince out of Galway's, but sometimes I'll get it out another butcher's, you know, just for a wee change. And if I get my mince out another butcher's, Mr. Coferers can always tell, even though I haven't kept them. And when I put it down to him, if I've not got it out of Galway's, he always says to me, where did you get that mince from?
Did you hear that? Aye, that's very interesting.
She went getting mince it is.
Aye, it's good mince, isn't it?
Oh, second to none.
Wait, that's not it, isn't it?
You're interested in that? Well, I don't see how you can top that. Go on.
Aye, we need to get this.
Well, I was telling Dolly, see how I was saying that when I don't get my mince out of
Aye, we
Galway's,
got that bit. Tell what happens when you get the mince out of Galway's.
well, when I don't get it out of Galway's, no, when I take it out, oh, here, Dolly, I forgot what I was going to say. I've lost it. Could you tell it?
You sure you don't want to tell it yourself? Dolly, fuck it, I watched it finish here. Right, I'll make it quick. When she gets her mince out another butcher's, don't mind no tell, because the ice says...
How did you get that mince from? We bought that bit.
But when he gets it out of Galway's, guess what he says?
That's Galloway's mince.
No.
No, he doesn't know I get it out of Galloway's. All the butchers are the same to him.
You see, that mince is nicer than the last lot.
Then what the hell does he say?
Tell them, Mrs. Coppers.
Get a hobber nobber party.
Well,
I was about to stop me.
that's a funny thing to say, though, right enough. Maybe it's just like a coincidence. That's what I've said, but he's been saying it for over 20 years. But why did he ask for another party? I mean, you think he'd ask for me a mince?
I think that the mince brings out the flavour in the cat.
This must be the stupidest conversation I've ever heard. Yeah, I get your party to the same fruit shop.
What do you mean, Dory then?
Wait, when you go to Galloway's to get your mince, do you I buy your party to the same fruit shop that you always do?
Well, when I don't get my mince from Galloway's, I just get it from the nearest shop.
Aye, but when you get your mince from Galloway's, do you I get it from the same fruit shop?
Oh, I always get it from wee Mr. Jackson's.
Well, that's it. It's the tatties with wee Mr. Jackson's that you like. That's why he's asking for there. It's not to do with the mince. Oh, Dory, then, you can't think you solved the mystery. It's not the mince. It's the tatties, Mrs. Coppers.
I always thought it was the mince.
You could shut up a bit, then. Man, you're simply please.
Dolly, I'm going to get my mince out another butcher and my tatties from Jackson's, and we'll see if they ask for another game.
That's a good idea. Pick your mince first.
Dolly, I don't want Margaret to hear. I still think it's the mince.
I know a fat old policeman, he's always on our street. A fat and jolly red-faced man, he really is a treat. He's too kind sign for a policeman, he's never known to frown, and everybody says he is the happiest man in town. He laughs upon point duty, he laughs upon his beat. He laughs at everybody when he's walking in the street. He never can stop laughing, he says he's never tried. But once he did arrest a man and laughed until he cried. Jolly face it wrinkled, and then he shut his eyes. He opened his great mouth, it was a wondrous size. He said, I must arrest you, he didn't know what for. And then he started laughing until he cracked his jaw. So if you chance to meet him when walking round the town, just shake him by his fat old head and give him half a crown. His eyes will beam and sparkle, he'll gurgle with delight, and then you'll start him laughing with all his blessed might.